The line between recreational drugs and psychiatric medications can be a lot thinner than some people think. For instance, most people are not aware that some psychiatric drugs are actually named after street narcotics. For instance, Wellbutrin is often called poor man's cocaine, and Seroquel is known as baby heroin. These are everyday prescriptions that millions of people take, yet for a small group of people, they are abusing them. And so that's what we're going to talk about today. So let's discuss firstly why these medications have some illicit drug appeal. Well, with Wellbutrin, it has to do with the fact that it acts on norepinephrine and dopamine circuits. This can lead to a stimulant-like buzz, and some people use this medication because they're chasing some energy, euphoria, or even alertness. Now, for the Seroquel, some people find that this is sedating and calming, and they'll use it to escape their emotions, for sleep, and for relief from anxiety. Now, because these medications are usually taken orally, they don't actually affect normal users in the same way. In fact, people who abuse these medications, they do take them in different ways. In some cases, they'll snort it or they'll even inject it, both of which I would highly not recommend because of all the chemicals in these medications and the problems that this can cause. Interestingly, the medication Seroquel is sometimes mixed with other drugs as well. For instance, some people will mix it with cocaine and they'll call it a cue ball. This use of street slang and nicknames often makes it seem cooler than it is because actually what you're doing is, using an antipsychotic and cocaine at the same time, which really does sound quite awful. Well, let's talk about the serious risks of this and why you do not want to be doing this. Well, for instance, we know that when people take too much Wellbutrin, they have seizures. Sometimes they can develop paranoia, hallucinations, and also strain on their cardiovascular system that can lead to things like heart attacks. Now, with Seroquel, the opposite can happen. If you overuse this medication, you can have extreme sedation, you can black out, and people could take advantage of you, and you can also develop respiratory depression, especially if you're combining it with other drugs. And what this means is you could actually stop breathing, and there could be a risk of death there. And so there's a serious reality check with these things. Abusing these medications isn't just fun or cool. It actually comes with serious medical danger. Now, there's a bit of an interesting history when it comes to these medications being abused. Well, it actually started inside the US prison system. In prisons, it's much harder to get illicit drugs, and so prisoners there actually found that some psychiatric medications would get patients high, and that's why Wellbutrin and Seroquel ended up developing this additional value where it could be traded amongst prisoners. This has actually gotten so bad that in many prisons across the US, they've actually removed it from the prison formulary, which is the list of drugs that the prison psychiatrist can prescribe. And after they did that, abuse of the medications fell, costs of the meds dropped in half, and there was no longer a crisis being observed. So here's the conclusion for today. Do not abuse any psychiatric medications. It's not cool, even if it has a street name, and it can also be dangerous. I think the most interesting thing about this video is really that the line between an illegal drug and a psychiatric drug is much thinner than people think.